Hi guys, first video of a series of videos I'm going to be putting up to this channel. A journey on setting up a marine reef tank. Now I'm not new to this hobby, but I live in southern Spain, up in the mountains, and when I moved over to Spain 17 years ago, there was very few, in my region anyway, there's very few reef shops and typical marine fish shops about, and the hobby was, I wouldn't say in its infancy in Spain, but it certainly was a lot less than it is now. Anyway, in the UK I had a 100-gallon large 2 foot by 2 foot with huge sump marine aquarium. I'll put a couple of photos down below, and it was back in the days, we're talking 25 years ago, back in the days when it was debated whether you could run a tank totally on live rock or not. My tank had a protein skimmer, it just ran on live rock and T5s. Water changes were minimal every 3 months, it was such a large tank, but it was a closed ecosystem that worked really well, and I was really gutted when I moved to Spain. They had to sell it up because you can't transport live corals and things across borders easily. Anyway, the story starts so far. About 10 years ago in Spain I had a small Blau aquarium, you can see here. All the equipment's still inside. I'm going to clean that up and use that as a quarantine tank, or maybe small other tanks for other things. And I had that going for about 10 years in our lounge. Just a couple of clownfish in it and a couple of small anemones and a few little bits and bobs, nothing major really. And as usual with a lot of hobbyists who are in this hobby, you let it slide a bit, and I got bored with it and I dismantled it and put it to one side. Anyway, and I bought a 60-gallon cube, 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot, with all the equipment, Deltex skimmer, UV filter, sump underneath, cabinet, all the rest of it. No lighting, so I've ordered the lighting, and I decided to start building an aquascape. Now the aquascape I'm building, you can see, is built up of dry, dead coral rock. That's some artificial rock that I've started to put together, and I bought a product called Stonefix. A bit expensive for what it is, but I understand it is inert and it's not harmful to marine species. It's basically just a fast drying Portland cement based paste when you mix it. So if you are using this, mix a very small amount. Try and stick the piece you want to stick with a small amount, and then move on and put some more on later. Now the idea behind this, I'm making a structure. It's on a flat piece of base there. The idea is I'm going to make the structure enough to bacterialize the header tank, which is the cube on top. And I want to make this structure, I'm in the middle of our bit of an old corral at the side of our house. I want to make this structure independent, and by independence I mean I want to make sure it's all stuck together, and I want to make sure there's enough little platforms on it for Aquapora, Goniopora, a few softies, etc, etc. And I want to make it so that I can lift the whole thing out of the tank, even if that means lifting it out with the corals on momentarily. The corals will survive outside the tank for a few minutes anyway. And the reason for that is I want to be able to, if I put my fish in there and I want to get them out, I want to be able to take the lights off the top and lift the structure, the whole structure out in one lump. That's the idea behind it anyway. So it sits on a minimal footprint on the bottom of the tank, and that's probably about 200mm, 8 inches wide in imperial, and maybe 10 inches across. What a nice shape. This is how far I've got at the moment. I'm working quite slowly because I want it to bond, and I'm going to double back over it. Another consideration is I want to cure this in this plastic bin that I've got next to me, so I'm going to cure it initially in RO water. We'll soak it for a week or so in RO and change the water regularly, and then obviously I'll put it into some salt water. I'm not going to add bacteria solution, I'm going to add maybe a small piece of shrimp or some frozen fish food, and we'll bacterialise the rock. And hopefully in a few weeks time, I'm not going to rush the process, I'm still in the process of buying drip feeders and different things, so I'm getting everything together bit by bit, and it's the best method really. Don't rush into it, take your time, get everything together, and it'll make a much better experience out of the whole thing. I'm going to carry on with the structure now. I'm quite mindful that with the tank being 2 foot wide, which is 600mm, I need a hand's width either side to get down there. I'm also mindful that I need enough volume of rock to filter the tank without having to put too much in the main sump underneath. I'd like to keep it all in the top. Also, I don't really want to, with it being 2 foot high, which is 600mm again, I don't really want to go over the height of that piece I've got on the top there. As you can see, I'll put any aquapora up in the tank or towards the back, towards the strongest part of the lighting. I don't want it to be growing out the water, and I don't want to be fragging it too much. So I'll try and control the lighting so we don't get a massive growth. I know that most people want big growth and the bits and sell them on, but I like to get established and grown out over the next 12-18 months, but without growing out the top of the tank. So a few considerations from what I've seen in the past and what I've learnt over my 30 odd years or so marine keeping. So this is part of the journey. It's a small video. I'll stop it here and I'll splice the rest of it onto it, and let me know your thoughts. Give me some tips. I mean, I've been in the hobby a long time, but obviously the hobby's moved way ahead over the last 30 years. Wi-Fi control lights, which I actually got on order. I'll go through all the spec that I've got later, and subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like. It's a new channel, so see how I go with it, and I'll take you along, I should say, on the journey that I make with this, and you can see the progress and see how we get on. There's a lot of selection of fractal corals here in Spain, but I know we should be patient in this hobby, but they're tiny. Some of the frags I've been seeing online are maybe, I don't know, a centimetre, 2 centimetres across. I know most of us are impatient, so we're looking for massive gonioporas and massive lofties or aquaporas, gonioporas, etc. We want a decent size so we can get some enjoyment out of it in the initial stages of setting up this tank. So I'll leave it here now and I'll splice a bit more at the end. Cheers guys, thanks for watching. So I'm thinking this is a front view, guys. There's a few shelves down the back for aquapora that's going to grow quite tall. There's a bit of a cave going on there, a few outcrops, a few ridges and bits and bobs to put frags on. Nice piece on the side there, bare to get some plate coral on. Orange and green growing up maybe at the side there. There's a little cave going on underneath. Plenty of spaces in between for the fish to swim around in. Yeah, so I think I've got about 8 kilos there. Nowhere near enough really, but I'm supposing that if I do get any pieces of soft coral with live rock on them, not that you see that much with live rock growing on these days, all frags and plates, but yeah, I've ended up with about half a kilo left in there bits. I don't know, what do you think guys? Give me a few comments, give me a few tips. I quite like it actually. I think it's did quite well. The question is it going to hold up together as I cure it? What I might do is get some more of this aquaforest adhesive and around a few more of the joints. Obviously buying pre-tinted artificial rocks, a bit of a waste of time. Once you slap a load of adhesive on it, you're going to mess it up anyway, but it's all going to change once it gets a bit of coralline on. What I want to do is what I said before, is cure it in the bucket a bit first. I'm not really into having all the brown diatoms and a bit of our algae growing and waiting months and months and months, so I'm going to try and cure this over the next 4 or 5 weeks somewhat, in a dark environment, so there's no algae going to grow on it, but obviously it's going to materialise hopefully. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the amount I've got here? I mean, we're looking at 60 gallon on the tank, and we should be looking at about at least 30 kilo, I would think, to get a successful bio system going, but no, I don't really want to overfill it. I want the aquascape to be quite pleasing to the eye. I don't want a massive bank of rocks. Any of you guys who've got a lesser amount of live rock, say, I don't know, 10-12 kilos in a 60 gallon cube and it's working okay, let me know in the comments below. I'll post a few pictures interspersed of this little tank when it was up and running with a few small corals in. Maybe 10 years ago that was. This has been stored outside, so it needs a good clean up. I've got loads of equipment inside, protein skimmer, UV, all the rest of it, so like I say, I'll use that for something else rather than a main tank. It'll be a spare or a frag tank maybe. Take the top off and put another light over it. Hey guys, I'll leave it there. I'll put a few photos in of my tank in the UK many moons ago, and hit me up in the comments, let me know what you think. Like I say, it's been the first one of many. and hopefully you can follow me on my journey, and hope I get a good few tips off you guys on what I should be doing in the 20s rather than back in the late 80s, 90s. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Cheers.